a place where all things are possible.
Hey everybody, this is Perky of the For Us Nation.
And Tahyira.
And today we're going to be talking about protecting women. But before we get to that, we would like to say, please like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast, the On the Ground Level podcast. You can also go to our website, forusnation.com, to see what else we have going on, like our meetup. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so we brought back our meetups in Brooklyn specifically. I know we're bringing them back probably in Cali and then like online and stuff, but we did one last month. We're doing another one on the 19th of this month. So we're going to meet up in Brooklyn. I don't want to give out the address because it's RSVP mandatory. We need to know who you are and where you're coming to. So yeah, look out for that. It's on our website, it's in our newsletter, it's in the podcast. It's going to be the use of this like podcast. So if you're around Brooklyn, you know someone that's here, you want to meet up, you're a brand, a product, you're an educator in any kind of way, you want to find out what we got going on in the Forest Nation School, because really like where we're heading to next is going to be really big. We were just having a meeting about it. So yeah, we just want to come back and connect with our community. We want to know what's going on, who has what, where the merch shops are, how we get our stage, like, you know, all that stuff. So let us know.
Yes. So yeah, all that will be in the show notes. Also, please become a patron. Our Patreon is patreon.com/forusnation. Also, all our social media handles, except for Facebook, because it won't let me change it, is For Us Nation. The Facebook, I know it won't let me do it. But for a little bit about myself, I also have my own podcast called Perky Perspectives. You can follow me at Perky Perspectives on Instagram. And then I also have a wellness brand called Love Period, which you could find that website, loveperiodllc.com.
Cool. Yeah, you guys can find me. I just have a new album out. I have an artistry about me as well. It's at T Slaves. My artist name is TEESLAVES. Outside of that, those of you that already follow the podcast know I Let the Good Times Roll. I'm one of the co-founders at forusnation.com. If you want to donate to us, you're always welcome to send us money. It costs money to help the community. Nothing is for free. And I think that brings us to our guests for the day.
Yes. Long name. Okay, so just some background. So as far as where to find them, you can go on Instagram at Sumumba_Sobukwe. That is in the show notes. Our guest is an experienced organizer, social worker, seminar leader, consultant, and author. He is the founder and creator of the MAAT Series, a consulting and educational organization that specializes in personal and professional development workshops, trainings, consultations, and facilitation. He has created over 70 workshops and trainings and has delivered his services to thousands across the city in several states, and is also co-creator of Occu-Evolve, which is the longest running and most active group within the Occupy Wall Street movement. So the website is the MAATSeries.com, and that is also in the show notes. So, hey.
And it's MAAT series for you guys. MAAT series, the MAAT. How do you pronounce it?
MAAT. Some people say MAAT. Yeah.
Supposed to have a little apostrophe in between the A's, right?
Right. Should have the like something.
Yeah.
It looks like it, but
yeah.
Anyhow, that's what we're gonna tag it all here anyway. So make sure people find the right thing.
Yes. So the reason, obviously hearing your background, there's plenty of things that we could talk about, and me and you be on the phone all day anyways. So it's always something to talk about. But right now, what we wanted to focus on is the concept of protecting women. It's always something going on. I actually share with both of you guys this interview that Candy Burris did with Nivea. And it was supposed to be about music. And, come to find out, there was just a lot of traumas and a lot of sexual assaults and exploitations and, bad relationship matching, that Nivea had that honestly took her away from her focus, which, happens a lot to women. And so me and you, Sumumba, have talked about this whole, what role can men play with protecting women? And so we wanted to talk about that with you. So our first question for you is, what does protecting a woman look like to you? And then what inspired you to even work within that field?
Well, I think there's different levels of protection. You know, of course, there's the physical protection, you know, and unfortunately not enough, you know, Black men are around to protect Black women, because there's always women that are being attacked in one way or another. You know, I'm not just talking about cat calls, you know, it's just, you know, you're being attacked because you're not being paid the same rate. Sometimes, you know, you're being, the way people look at you, and not just men, sometimes it's envious women, white women as well. It's like the target is on your back a lot of times. And
for the Karens.
Yeah, there you go. Oh God, that's
and
cool.
did y'all see the one from yesterday?
Oh, we can do another show about that.
I don't mean to say, but I don't know if y'all saw the one that was trending yesterday. The lady that was on the floor screaming at the woman in the Victoria's Secret.
I haven't seen it, but I saw it. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
It's tuned up on my YouTube. Oh God, every day something new with them.
Every day. Yeah. It's funny now. It's like they're walling. Yeah. But continue, my friend. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, but it's just, there's a lot of levels of protection that, you know, we can't always be around, unfortunately, to protect, because this is a whole different world that we're in right now. People have jobs, people live in different places. But, you know, I think to try to at least be there, you know, when you can't be there physically, to be there kind of emotionally and have that outlet for women to have your ear, you know, and your words and vice versa, back and forth. I think that's very important. Checking in is really important. You know, I check in on Perky all the time, you know, or try to. And I try to check in on, you know, other women that are dear to me. And when, even if you're not, like online, hello, how you doing? You know, how's everything going? Do you need anything? You know, and I'm a very giving person as well, as Perky knows. So, you know, those so many levels of that, you know, but really, I guess the main thing would be to be checking in and asking what a woman needs, what a Black woman needs, what are your needs, what's she going through. Hopefully she's open enough to tell you, can tell you, or, you know, she's comfortable enough to tell you. So checking in, I think, is the main thing that we can do when we're not there, you know?
Right. I'll say the follow-up part of this question. What inspired you to start work in this field, like, to begin with? What inspires you, or what got you started, or any situation that, like, you know?
Y'all gonna have to promise me a part 2, because this is a long story. Perky knows just a little bit too.
Well, tell us the abridged version.
Okay, the abbreviated. Perky could probably tell you as well with my mom, but no, my mom was my mother, who would have turned 78 on the 10th. 15 years ago, she passed away, and she died of a broken heart, loving a man that didn't love himself. And she was married for the last 21 years of her life. This is a man that had his own demons. He had his own issues. You know, he didn't know one of those situations where you don't know who your father is, or you was raised by your grandmother, and your grandmother could have been your mother, sort of thing. I never got total clarity, but all I know is he told me that he said that he never knew who his mom was or whatever, and that really affected him. But, you know, the other piece of that was, why would you remain married for so long to somebody like that? So, I mean, and it's not to blame her or anything, because you learn things about your parents after they pass, or your people after they pass. You actually learn a whole lot more.
Right.
And things make sense, make a little more sense. Maybe they weren't as bad as you thought that they were. But anyway, seeing the things that she went through, seeing how she raised me and my sister, and kind of raised a lot of other people, made me want to be like, you know, you want to honor her memory. You want to honor your mom's memory and how you treat other women. And that's how I kind of go at it. Not that I'm not perfect, not that I'm perfect or anything. I've had my issues, you know, it's been a minute. But so that inspires me, like, because I see every Black woman as my mother, you know, and you don't have to be older like my mom or whatever. So when you have that level of respect, it hits a little different. You know what I'm saying? So this very, you don't want them to go through what your own mom went through. And then, you know, there's a whole nother story about when she passed away and how he was acting and stuff like that.
Her name is Pearl, right? I think I saw her on your website.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
girl.
So you're definitely keeping her legacy alive. And I love to hear people who started a company with a real life, it's your mom motivation, because I firmly believe in like success comes from not being better or more marketing. It's like you have a real purpose here, and then the world just sees that and lets you through. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. But thank you so much.
Yeah. And so there's a few things I want to touch on. So one, I think it's important to emphasize to everyone that in order to be there as a way, as somebody that somebody can look at for protection, it, like you said, it's not just physical, like it's letting people know that you're there and that they have the support. Because as a Black woman, sometimes I don't feel like I'm protected by my men. Like sometimes I feel like they're the ones that are putting me in the positions to
They
feel
are
unprotected, like
Black men, white men can't hold back Black women the way Black men can hold us back.
Yeah, and it's
a fact.
And then even what you were saying about your stepdad with his traumas, it's like, to not to segue, but I'm in the Smart Brown Girls book club, and the last book that they read was by Tressie McMillan called Thick. And I haven't even really gotten into it yet, but just the beginning part, she's talking about how no matter your size or who you are as a Black woman, you always take up so much space. You too thick, you know what I mean? And you're always trying to find how to fit in or like whatever, or even you're not even consciously thinking about it. You're just being put in these positions to try to fit or whatever into some sort of space that is not really ideal, right? And so it's like we're battling all these things, and then when we start to date, or even we just start being more around other men that maybe we didn't grow up with, then it becomes that, oh, now we have to help build you up and stuff. And sometimes by helping to build up the people around us, we become very vulnerable. And so I think it's good that you're saying that you check in with the women that because that plays a huge role. Like, oh, somebody cares about my mental health. Somebody's checking in with me. So that's one little hint for the men that's listening. So next question is, and you kind of already answered this. You said the question was, is there an incident? So I'll just, if you want to answer.
I was just going to say this, of course, my mom, that's enough by itself. But then, I kind of heard my sister, like several years later, she was a victim of sexual abuse by one of my mother's boyfriend's sons. And it happened to her. It happened to me when I was 4 by an older female cousin. So anyway, so that kind of also.
Sorry that happened to you.
Thank you. It happened to my sister. And then I started realizing, like, this is why some of the ways she acted towards me and some of the choices she made. And she's had some also kind of physically abusive relationships, one in particular. And telling me years later, like, I didn't know. Like, when we don't know, like, how can we protect you? But it still makes you think, like, back to years, this is why our relationship isn't better. This is why she is like this, So that kind of affected me, just kind of, I guess, paying it backwards or paying it forward. So that just kind of adds on what happened to my mom and knowing what women go through, particularly women, I don't want to say just single moms, but, just women in general, single moms in particular, that I have a real spot in my heart for that. And I get that from my dad because he was a very giving person. He was an activist as well and a protector of Black women. So kind of
super crazy. No, yeah, that's lit, but it's super crazy. I don't want to cut you off, but it's crazy that you said that happened to you. On June 9th, I shared this post. A man's consent is equally as important as a woman's consent. No means no, regardless of gender. If a woman says no, it means no. If a man says no, it means no. Can we end the ideal that men are supposed to keep quiet and enjoy wanted? And that was like the post. And I commented, there's women raping men, teenagers, and children. We're not going to call out abuse by the hands of #women. So it's crazy that you said that. And now you're a guest on the podcast, right? It's like you can manifest. We talk about that all the time too. Put out the stuff that you want to talk about. Because I know these things exist. I come from human trafficking. I wrote my master's thesis on that. So I don't know I'm a weirdo like this. I really am a weirdo, but like I'm a humanitarian. So I go to where the dark, disgusting parts of humanity is so I can be the light, so I can find it out. And then sometimes, and I bring it to people and they're like, oh my God, why are you posting about that? I'm like, because it happens.
Yeah.
Because everything is not just about something stupid. Like,
you gotta be able to talk about it, but it's so hard to talk about it because
definitely
some stuff, and I've told people, and I've gotten mixed reactions. Sometimes I get the like nothing. Sometimes I get no type of reaction, and it's just like, did you not hear me? And it's like, but that strong woman or that strong person, you know, visual that people get, like they're used to you always being okay or whatever. So sometimes people don't want to dig in. Sometimes it makes people uncomfortable to know that other people are going through it. Or I get the other one where people cry and they be like, oh my God, why you didn't tell me? Or I'm gonna go beat them up or da-da-da. And it's just like, okay, like, why can't you just support me consistently so that I could let you know when these things are happening rather than you being like, why didn't you tell me? You know what I mean? Because then I'm victimized again. I was going through something and now you're blaming me again for not opening up and telling you. So I definitely believe like the discussions need to happen more, but the people who are there to receive it, you got to be able to receive it. You got to be able to just listen and give that person that safe space to talk about it, because even though your trauma happened when you were 4, that's something that you carry with you no matter what. You know what I mean?
Childhood traumas rarely go away, and I suffer from that too. My mother abused me psychologically, and it still is effect. I go to therapy now. I'm 34 years old. Yeah. So, if it happens in childhood, worse. It's sadder that it happened to you before you even became a person that understands, because it takes you it's a whole different lane of therapy. When things happen to you as an adult and you have an opportunity to call the cops and get yourself help, yes, you still focus and you deal, but it's definitely different than children. I mean, some people grow up, don't even know rape is wrong, right? So it's like, it gets that real because your household is your household and that's the only environment that you know. It's one of our questions, but I think we're running off the time. Let's get to the next question.
Yeah.
But great combo.
Yeah, it is.
And to address your saying that we need a part 2, we definitely, we're going to be building off of this. Like, this is not the only discussion we're going to have on this topic. So
yeah, we may be able to get through it. Okay, but go ahead. We may be able to get through the 5 questions I'm saying, but yeah, I would love to.
All right, let's go. Is there any advice that you can give to men who have considered violence against women, whether it be physical, financial, or emotional?
You said they have considered.
Is there any advice that you can give to men who have considered, like people who told you like, yo, I'm about to punch her in her face, bro? What could you say? Because we know there's people, we're marketing this podcast to people who are like that so that they can hear a different way to deal. What advice would you tell them? Like, instead of hitting her, maybe you can try this.
Right, or instead of taking money or holding money.
Or whatever the version of abuse is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I'm in this Kevin Samuels support fan page on Facebook. I'm always checking the brothers like,
no, I'm just kidding.
Who hurt you? Okay, Perky knows my situation with certain females, African sister. If anybody has a right to whatever to be angry with a woman, it could be me right now. But I always think as an adult, you have to look at yourself. And I feel like these men that have all this microaggressions or macroaggressions, I think, and I don't want to just make this about Kevin Samuels, but like, I feel like he's bringing out a lot of that emotion about, in men that have been dealing with kind of goofy, whatever, women that aren't ready. I don't want to say ratchet, I just say women that aren't ready and that have been acting really bad.
I don't want to say ratchet, but ratchet.
I'm like,
underdeveloped, I don't know, underevolved.
No, we gonna call them ratchet. We good.
Okay. Yeah, so I always try to confront the men with, okay, but did she have a gun to your head? Like, you chose, I mean, she said yes to you. You approached her, but she chose you. And so why did you continue to run over the red flags? And why be mad at her if you decided to stay? And of course, it's the same way for me. Like, at the end of the day, I think my own, maybe we can flip it to my own situation where I dealt with a woman that actually was married and she didn't tell me nothing. She was asking for rent and all this. It was a long distance situationship. But this is why we probably need to do a part 4. But instead of—
You need a TV show on the Forest Nation.
I guess
anyway,
I ran over the red flags though. And it's just, I have to look at, I'm an adult. I made this choice. She didn't force me to do anything. And it was a bad
Most of the time people are mad at themselves when they it's projecting.
But she hiding a husband, that's not on you, bro.
Yeah, that part is not on you, but like you said, the red flags that showed you signs that something was not good. I mean, boundaries are important, and I think due to a lot of trauma that us Black people hold on, and just the way we build relationships and the way we communicate, boundaries are sometimes very hard to put up for us, or sometimes we don't have them, and then when we're ready to put them up is late. So it's just like, now I'm not sending you no money, but you already was sending me money. Why you not? You know what I mean? It's like, oh god,
it's real though. That's real.
But I do want to highlight that you are a man, and we are talking about protecting women, but us women do need to do better at the way we treat our men. Like that some women have this entitlement thing with them, that they feel like they're owed the world. Like
everybody is their daddy. It's like, this is not your parents' house.
Right. He is not right. He is not your parent. Like, I know people be playing around with that daddy mama thing, but like they
not me over here.
Your parent. Like,
don't call me that. I told my husband straight. What's to do with dating? Don't ever call me that. Like,
right. Like,
that's not what we're doing here.
Right. So
but just to some of the keywords from that answer, I love the ones you said. You said microaggressions, you said macroaggressions, Perky said boundaries. There was another one you guys said. But anyway, we'll get it in the
red
notes.
flags. He said red flag, running
red
over
flags, yeah. You're watching out for the
and he says
flags.
it a lot. He didn't say it just now, but he says pink flags to me sometimes too. And I think that's important too, because sometimes you'll get these little, I think this is when we have to evaluate what we want in relationship, and not just romantic, just what we want in relationships and what are our triggers, because we're responsible for our own triggers, right? So it's just like a pink flag to me is something that reminds you of something that makes you feel uncomfortable. It may not be necessarily a bad thing in that person, but it makes you uncomfortable enough to where you like, and if that comes up, maybe you should listen to it. You know what I mean? So okay, so the next question, can you describe your relationship to mental health and how it relates to your interactions with women?
Oh, dang. Side parts now.
Don't do that.
My to mental health, I think mental health is a consistently it's an ongoing thing. And I try to tap into my spirituality. I try to tap into, again, looking at myself first. What am I internalizing? What am I projecting? What am I doing to address the stress of being a Black man or being a human being in the world at this time? COVID and all this other stuff going on. So what are my outlets, in dealing with women? And for me, it's always kind of remembering my mom and, knowing like really the only way we can make it in this country, in this world in general, in this country in particular, is we need our Black women, And so just remembering the love of my mom and remembering the good things about women, and then even some of the bad things that I've experienced with women and how I could have neutralized that. And, it's an ongoing thing, but always remember that everything starts with me and I'm a good person. And just remembering that, and that I don't have to, I don't have to match energy. I think I spoke to you about this before. You don't have to match energy. You are who you are. And you don't have to match negative energy. And when you see positive energy coming through, then that's what you connect with, And I realize when you look out in the world, a lot of people are walking around in the daze, in the matrix, not really thinking about life because they haven't worked on themselves, or they haven't really sought that spiritual journey within themselves, to realize we're not kings and queens, we're actually gods and goddesses. And that's higher than kings and queens. But to get to God and goddess status and level, it takes work. It takes fighting through the ego, edging God out, or earth God only. It takes, fighting through emotions, which aren't us. We're spirit, we're not emotions. But unfortunately, as men, we react to our lower animal nature, and women react to their emotions a lot of times. But we're not working from here and here. And so I guess, just to just to say, starting with myself and being in a good place, and not speaking to people when I'm in a bad place, or trying not to, or finding another way. That whole projection thing. Internalizing and projecting it on the person. So I just remember that for me, I need Black women. I mean, I need all women for balance, but really Black women. And that's the only way we're gonna make it, whether we have money or not. The only way we can make it is with our sisters. So I'm constantly trying to connect and reflect. And when I see negative energy, you just gotta let it go. You gotta block it. You gotta reclaim your time, and that's it. So I don't know if I answered that question or whatever. But
You definitely did.
okay. You try to reflect love. I smile, I say hello, I open doors. You know what I'm saying? Because why not? I want to lengthen my life. It seems like if you're walking around in this haze or whatever, you're going to shorten it. So why not be nice? Why not be kind? Each person is a new person. You look familiar, sister, but I've never met you. I've probably seen you somewhere, but whatever experience I've had with Black women, I'm not going to bring that to me with meaning and talking to a whole new person. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's their own person, so to get these Black women out of these boxes and thinking that y'all all are walking around mad and angry or materialistic, whatever, when I know that's not the case. Although some, carry themselves like that. At the end of the day, women want love, men want love, and we need each other as Black men and women, period.
What the world needs now.
I can't.
But I like the
emotional
maturity that was oozing out of that statement.
It's true.
It's very, very strong right there. Yeah.
Okay, so the next question we had was, what ways do you advocate for your community? But I feel like you definitely answered that. So I'm going to go to the next one.
Plug your website. I feel like
you can put in tell us where people can find you so they can follow you. We have one more question to go, but you can plug yourself right now, what's active and what's coming up next or soon.
Or that's how I just meant that's where the activism, I feel like, probably ties in, right?
Right. It's still in development because I'm going to be upgrading the website as well. But a lot of my work that I do is online, not just online, but on YouTube. You can also find me on Sumumba Sobukwe YouTube as well. I post inspirational quotes every morning. One is called Dear Black People. Another one is called Mornings with Mumba. And you can find that on my community page. And it might seem like nothing, just, inspirational quotes or whatever, but it's the first thing that you see in the morning. I think it can kind of help you set you right on your day. And I'm really trying to activate the Pearl Project, which is the one dedicated to my mom, in terms of single moms and supporting married moms and women and Black women in general, in particular, women in general, Black women in particular. So I'm working on that. I'm supporting a family right now. Actually, I'm supporting a couple of families right now of single moms, doing what I can do in terms of, the little money I have and the words that I have, even more than money, talking to the children. Sometimes I'll do, not Zoom, but, we'll be on one of these calls and emailing each other. There's a young man that I'm 19 years old, and I remember him when I was 19 years old. He's in the Dominican Republic, and he's Black. Dominican people in Dominican Republic that are Black really catch hell, a lot of hell. And even to the point where the mother catches hell as well, because she's Black and she kind of stands up for her rights, sort of thing. So that's one family. Then there's another family in Africa that I try to support, but I used to give free dating, relationship, life advice. I did that professionally, and then I did that on Facebook for free. It's hard now because, time is money and all the rest of that, but I'm going to open that door back up. I did do a lot of work with Occupy Wall Street. This is a 10-year anniversary. So we're going to be doing some things with that. I did some of the first Black Lives Matter actions on Wall Street. We did one at Fox News. We did some of the first actions at Central? What's 42nd Street? Grand Central. We did some of the first actions there, and we were organizing all around the city. So I'm kind of going back into the activism as Yeah, so that's kind of the
Better call me. I'm trying to be out there.
Okay, cool.
I march for all the Black Lives Matter. I cross all the bridges. I've done it all over DC, LA, here. You think you saw me before? I doubt it.
I don't know if you've been on. Well, I was there in the 95. I
was about to say.
In 95, I was, that's a whole nother issue. But no, 2015, 2016.
Yeah, we was there.
Occupy, I was down there. I did a photo shoot down there when it first started, and people came to the photo shoot, and I just turned the photo shoot into a documentary, and I used that content instead. It was lit.
That's probably where I saw you. I've seen you.
That's when I first started doing my career. That was maybe 3 years after college. I didn't really know where I fit in either. I graduated in the recession. Trayvon Martin and everything that happened, Joyce Zimmerman gave me a way to use my criminal justice-ness and, activation and all that stuff. So that's what I do now. And for us is a part of that. And, it's great to see how people that we bring, because this is all, those listening in, this is all candid talk right here. We didn't know this about each other. So again, we always talk about, for us, what you guys can do, what we do. You never know. You just jump in here. You never know what is already connected to something that you got going on. It's the beauty of, what do I say? It's 6 degrees of separation or whatever. It's the beauty of the networking thing. It's you just gotta keep going. Eventually, you're gonna run it. You know what I mean? You're gonna just keep running.
Most def. I'm working on 2 books as well. One is called My Life as an Occupier. The other one is the RBG book, which is Red, Black, and Green book, and it's gonna be just a new direction for people of African descent, Black people, to look at things in a different light, to put some rules and codes and culture into place. A lot of it is also, how do we protect Black women? How do we support single moms? Because it still takes a village. And I feel like part of my work is I have to be a father for as many young men and young women as I can be. It doesn't matter if you're my biological or not, you're my child. It takes a village to raise a child. And I really want to break through whatever culture or whatever the trends are right now. That's a fact. We are each other's keepers, and we are each other's parents. So I think we also need to break down this Generation X and Generation Z and just bring back some stuff that go beyond these categorizations. There's certain things that we should not be doing, that we should learn from our ancestors. And there's certain things we should improve on that from our ancestors that they didn't do as well. So I'm all about whatever works. And the advocacy now is just for us to realize we need each other, Black men and women, in relationships, whether it's romantic or not, And I think one of the biggest things for men is to be around a woman and not lust for her, not physically, not that to be the end game, for us to just enjoy each other's company. Because I can get as much from a woman if she's interesting and artistic and about the community. We can talk all night, and that's what's it for me. The love thing is cool too, don't get me wrong, but can we help each other get through this life right now? It's still in COVID.
Yeah. And I want to highlight, we only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to highlight, I think that's a good.
That was the last question, isn't it? Yeah.
We gonna have to do a part 2, like you said, but but I think it's important to highlight that, as for men, we women would really appreciate it if you're attracted to us for our work ethic, our business savvy, our ideas, our creativity, even the way we present ourselves. Can you just be present? Because I think that's part of why we sometimes don't feel protected, because a lot of the men are lusting after us, or we'll find out at the end of the day that their intentions were only this small little part of our whole being. And it's very diminishing, as a woman, trying to make connections with men and build with our community of men, just to know that they're sexualizing or objectifying us the whole time. You know what I mean? And that might not be your intentions. It may have developed, at some point too, but you have to know how that comes off. You know what I mean? You started as a friend, or you started in this friend thing, and then all of a sudden it's
now you sound thirsty. People have been catcalling me since I was maybe 12 years old. And I have a script that I'm working on right now, and it's talking from that point of view as young Black girls, from the point of view of not wanting to just be it. Because it's another perception, the way I just see it as a Black person growing up, it's you know, like Black women should just be happy that, and like we're so ugly in the space of the world that should we just be happy. And a lot of us is like, I grew up very beautiful and pretty, and I know that and I own that. And people in the world, all colors. I went out to Barcelona and men were like literally following me. I had to call the cops, like, he's following me. I don't know him. Like, you know what I mean? Through the street, just because of the confidence that I have too. Because confidence, people are like, oh, because you're confident. Confidence opens the gate for that same stuff too. You know, I'm confident in myself. That means I can wear whatever I want. If I want to wear a bathing suit in the middle of the winter, I can. Yeah. Doesn't mean that I'm wearing it for you. Right. Or when it comes to the date rape or women looking for rape or victimization conversation we learn in criminal justice, it doesn't matter what the woman have on, has nothing to do with you wanting to go after her. That's inside you. Like what our guest right here said, you're operating at your lowest level of being a human, you know, when you see that, you know what I mean? So just to
we got to wrap. Sorry, we got to wrap it. I know.
Oh, we got to wrap it. But that was it.
Thank you, everybody. We will do a part 2. Please like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast. forestnation.com, Patreon/forestnation.com. Sumumba _ Sobukwe is his Instagram. You can find everything else on there, as well as his YouTube. So we appreciate you guys, and we will do a part 2, and this is going to be continuing. And please sign up and RSVP if you're in New York City for our meetup. And on that note, I made it, y'all. I made it for a minute.
Yeah, going, actually, I'm getting into it.
It didn't cut us off yet. But yeah, protecting Black women. So please comment if you guys have anything else you wanted to add to this discussion so that we can continue it. Maybe we'll go on live and we'll do like a IG.
We could definitely do one in the Spotify green room, I think, if we can get more people maybe to like chat, and then we'll just record that bigger conversation. We'll get other men, we'll get other, you know, we'll just have like you'll be like on the panel, like the person, the moderator, and then everyone will just throw stuff. I'll meet Perky will be in there, just mixing up the pot too. Like, what if?
Right, I know. Join us on green room.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.